And we are back, and it is time for our else views. This is the portion of the show where I come up with many things, and Corey leaves me guessing. So I'm gonna start off with one because again, I can't pick two. I actually had like three things. I was gonna talk about Doomsday Clock, but I'm like, I might wait and talk about Doomsday Clock a little bit later. Quickly about Doomsday Clock, love the lenticular. I freaking love the lenticular cover that they had of Rorschach, where you got his traditional Rorschach's face, and then you shift it, and it's the Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman logos. Like, that's cool.
I like it when you shift it
Um,
to the left and it becomes the Nike logo.
yeah, exactly. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is this right here for the video listener or video watchers. This is the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, the deluxe edition, which basically means I got a season pass and I got to play as the original Guardians of the Galaxy for early. But I am currently playing this. I am a sucker for the Marvel Lego games, actually for the Lego games in general. But I've got a love-hate relationship with this game. I love the gameplay. I wish we didn't have the video game actors strike that took place, because this actually took some took some damage because of it. And Beat is asking, is there any games without season passes anymore? WTF? There are. He
I don't even know what
said.
that means. What
So
is what
what?
is a season pass?
So okay, for a season pass, it gets you DLC where you pay it once, and then you get extra DLC downloadable content later on. So what this meant for the first Lego Marvel Superheroes game was you got level packs based off of Agents of Shield, based off of Ant-Man, Winter Soldier, like some of the movies that came out around the time the game was being developed
Okay,
and stuff
so
like that.
it what you normally buy individual packs of downloadable content. A
Yes.
season pass is basically prepaying, so you'll get all of the downloadable content as it comes out, as opposed to having to buy a la carte.
Yeah,
Is
and
that what?
you're saving some money. So on the
Right.
other end, the WWE season pass, I'm getting access to, I think, probably all but maybe two downloadable content packs that'll be coming out within the next year, and all that, and it is at a reduced price. Where if you bought all of them separately with the game, so the game's $59, then you buy all these. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I hear what people are saying about downloadable content. It's just a way to support, to pay more for a game that isn't finished. I don't necessarily look at it that way. I look at it as, at least with the Lego Marvel game, this is a way for them to add new levels for things that have not come out yet. So with Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Black Panther level pack, following the movie, or we saw a Avengers Infinity War, with some of the movies that are coming out, with this next year, and we see some where it follows loosely the plot of the movie. And so
But now I have to ask, why would they not have just kept making content for Lego Marvel Heroes 1? You've already paid a season pass for that. What instead they did is they put out a Marvel Superheroes 2
whole
and
different story, whole
and
different
a whole
story.
new season pass for that. That's
Yeah.
that might be
So
part of a complaint, is that okay, I'm supposed to believe that I'm going to get all this extra content, but then it's kind of up to you guys as to when you stop supplying it and when you go and make me buy a brand new fucking game.
a lot of the times there actually is a set one. So the bigger complaint comes in with the sports games, like the WWE 2K18s, or even the like, even in general, the like Madden and NBA 2K18, like those, and FIFA, like those, the big sports games, because it's like, well, what's the thing that's changed from 2017 to 2018 besides adding a digit and all that? And a lot of the times the answer is there are some performance tweaks, like with the lighting, or with these other things to make it look more realistic. But a lot of times the answer is, well, the roster's different. But you give me live update. Now, granted, this isn't it's not this bad with the sports games, but it's like where, they could be paying for it, but they're not. But you give me live updates throughout the season. Why not just keep doing it? And so a lot of people are complaining. B is one of these people who I can clearly tell by the text that does not like DLC and season passes. I'm of the mindset of, if it's a game I like WWE 2K18, I love the WWE, I love superheroes, I love Legos and all that, I will get the season passes for them. And I'm gonna tell you right now, because I'm gonna to put the $60 games should contain a finished game. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 is a finished game.
But he's saying that his complaint is that there are other games that are getting away with using this tactic, and they're not finished games. And so the only way to get to the end of the game is to, after you've paid the $60 game, you also have to buy the season pass. And that's where a complaint is coming out. Because again, there's not a control factor in these things. Yeah. The control factor is, don't ever buy those people's fucking games again. But at the point where you've I've already made the $60 investment, I just want to get what I put into this out of it. So I'll buy the fucking season pass and be pissed off, but I get to at least play my fucking Star Wars game. That's what it sounds like he's saying. And I've heard a lot of people complain about Star Wars. I didn't know the details of it, of Star Wars Battlefront.
The Star Wars Battlefront thing is separate. It is not DLC or season passes, because the season passes are probably going to be level packs. Much like with the Call of Duty series, there were level packs to where you could play the game. It was a finished game with what they had on the discs. And this is coming from a dude who hasn't played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 3. I don't know the details because I haven't played. I still have my pre-order card from Battlefront 2. I'm like, I'm going to hold off on it, because the big controversy isn't about the single player. It's about the fact that they have the microtransaction thing of, oh, here you can pay for these crystals and you can unlock your characters faster. Well, you got to spend $60 to unlock a character or something like that. That's besides the point. I'm not talking about those games. I was using the DLC as the example for those and how they do it. My thing I will counter B with is, what about the Steam Early Access games, where a lot of those cost money? You look at a game like Ark, Survival Evolved. That's a game that costs people $25 to play a bugged out game.
But don't they know that going in?
Yes.
But right, so that's different.
But at the same time,
when I see a $60 game up on the shelf, I'm assuming by the professionalism of the developer and the professionalism of the companies who put that game onto their system, that I'm going to get a finished product. Or I'm going to get a continuing world thing like a World of Warcraft or a City of Heroes or whatever. That's a little different story. But the idea, and this has been a long time, and it's part of what put me off video games to begin with, is the new game comes out and then you have a day and a half of downloading patches to make the game actually work. And then on top of that, it works sometimes, and then there's still bug fixes that are coming out. And then, and when we get to it, we'll add some extra content. But my first feeling is, I spent $60 on something that should never have been allowed up on the shelf. If someone's telling me, pay us $10, you get to play the beta of this ahead of other people, then I know I'm playing a beta. But that's not what this sounds like. This sounds like I'm getting beta level playability from a game that I'm spending full money for, and they don't even care to give me the full game, and there was no warning to that. I can't say that that's worse or better than putting out a game that is just shitty, because it's always a crapshoot with the game. It's like, oh, I got this. Well, this is a piece of crap, but I can resell it into EB or whatever. But a shitty game, again, is not as bad as a company not even giving you the game.
Yeah,
it's like opening up and here's 5 pieces of a DVD for your PlayStation. Try to put them together and see what happens when you shove it in your slot. No, that I can get why people would be upset if you buy the game and the single player thing, which is pitched as part of the game that you're purchasing, isn't actually even done. I would be livid. I would be absolutely livid, and I would be gladly happy to join up as part of the class action lawsuit against that company, which I think should probably happen in that case.
Yeah.
But I don't game.
And it's one of those things that I am not talking about this in the whole. I have more of a problem with the now tits up Steam early access, because with how I understood things for games like PUBG, Player Unknown's Battleground, or Ark, which were two of the big ones from this at this time, or Rust. You paid for this game that was going to be buggy as hell, probably wouldn't work on your system, wasn't any refunds. It was to help them. It was to help them, with quotes, fund the game while they're making it. And yet they're taking their sweet ass time, not finishing the game to then release it, to where then you have to pay for the game all over again.
Yep.
You might get a 10% off discount thing or whatever.
And that's the same thing as backing something on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I've backed a good amount of Kickstarter stuff. I definitely had to fall off of that when my finances took a hit. But for a long time, I backed things on Kickstarter, and it wasn't indiscriminate. But there were things that some of the stuff didn't happen. Some of the stuff took years. But in those cases, I also again knew going in. Some people don't. Some people just assume if you fund something on Kickstarter and it gets funded, that you're automatically going to get your thing, and you're going to get it at the time that they said they're going to do it. It's July of next year. And then July rolls around, and you're like, well, where is it? Oh, no, we're still working on it. Well, okay. And then it's August of the year after that, and then it's 2046. And you're like, I paid for this thing, and the technology doesn't even exist for it to work anymore. But it's almost done. That's again, knowing going in. It's the knowledge of, but this is how it is. The professionalism of putting something into a fucking box and putting it up on a shelf, and being a company that doesn't have to worry about running out of money, like EA, that feels a little different, and it feels like a weird comparison between the two. Is supporting an indie developer. I feel like, okay, yeah, it's up to me to decide that indie developer is worth my time based off the fact that they haven't really done a lot of other games before. But when I buy an EA Sports game or an Activision game, I don't know if they exist anymore, or anything like that, I kind of feel like I should know that I'm going to get some certain quality going in. And what it feels more like is they're allowing excuses to work for them that work for the little guys, but they're not the fucking little guys. And that sounds like a problem. But
so
we went off on a, because we tangent.
Yeah.
You are enjoying the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 game, but you said that you have a problem with it because of the voice acting.
Yes. So the Lego Marvel Avengers 2, when it was being made, it took place during it was being made during the voice actors strike. So for the video games, they were part of the due to the game being affected by the 2016-2017 video game voice actor strike. The cast for the previous game, as well as from Lego Marvel Avengers, did not return to their roles, as they were affiliated with the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, or SAG-AFTRA. So basically, you get new voice actors doing these. It just seemed like some of the voice actors, like they were doing a different version of the characters, like it didn't quite match up. Where the guys who were doing it before, it's like, okay, when you heard the Thing, it's like, oh well, he sounds like the Thing, like how you hear the Thing in your head, where it's like, rough and tumbly, like grumbly, like, with he's got rocks for, vocal cords and stuff like that. The cool thing that I will give it is it has Peter Serafinowicz voicing Kang the Conqueror. And Kang is great. Like Kang, he's the big bad for this game, and I love that. I love how he's doing how he is in here. They're still doing the comedy while making this a pretty decent drama. And then Greg
I've
Miller.
seen commercials for it, and the amount of characters that are involved in it is very cool. And I don't know how much of
Oh
that
yeah,
are characters that are just there as cameos, and then you get to play them with your DLC stuff. But I do know that when I watched the commercials and I saw a character such as Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and I heard her voice, I felt like that doesn't sound anything like a voice I would have chosen for this character. And so I don't know if she was one of the ones who didn't return, if she was in the first game or not, but that did kind of stand
she
out to me
was.
as like, who made this decision? Because it just sounds so off from
Yeah,
what I think
that's
of.
that's like, Thor's another one where Thor sounds like they're trying to do an Australian accent, like because Chris Hemsworth is Australian, and then in cutscenes sounds like Richard Iowade from the, Moss from the IT Crowd, and I'm like, how the hell do we get such a wide dynamic here? Um, but no, this is overall, I'm loving the game. I'm probably about halfway through a single player story. You get Kamala Khan right off the bat. You get a lot of these people, you get like, boom, right off the top. And then it's fairly easy to unlock people. One of the things I love is, again, some of the costumes. So with getting the bonus stuff, I got to play as the original Guardians of the Galaxy in free play. So I get to play as Yandu and Charlie 27, Nikki, and all the original, the old school Guardians. And then just the other things, like instead of like in Lego Marvel Superheroes 1, you had to do Deadpool missions to unlock Deadpool. This one, you're unlocking Gwenpool. And
Nice.
she makes a cameo in one of the events. So basically you're playing Battle World, like Marvel Civil War or Marvel Civil War 2. No, not Civil War. Oh shit,
Secret
what was
Empire? No.
Secret? No, not Secret Empire. Secret Wars. Marvel
Yeah.
Secret Wars and Secret Wars 2. But there's no Doctor Doom with his God complex hard on. It's King the Conqueror, time doing all these weird time things, and you're going into the old west or the Hydra Empire and all this, or Manhattan Noir, which is great because as you get into Manhattan, the color goes away. So it's like the attention that they pay to all these things is really cool. It's just that voice cast, yo. And it's not to not trust me, it's not to knock the voice actors. Um, but I the big problem I think I have is the fact that I'm looking at, you look at the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 IMDb page, it does not tell you who does who voices who. It just says voice, voice. Like I'm like, well, I want to know, like, this person sounds familiar. How do I not know, who they are or who they're voicing? It just says they provided a voice.
Well, if they were performing the voices and they weren't members of SAG,
Yeah,
or if they were crossing the picket line, they probably don't want their names credited, or they don't get credit because they're not part of the Screen Actors Guild. I don't know the ticks of that at all, but
yeah,
that might be why, or it might just be too soon for the listing. And IMDb is still an open database. It takes a while for that to populate sometimes.
yeah. But I mean, all in all, I've been loving the game. It's been what's taking up my time when I have free moments. I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna play. Like right now, I'm playing as Doctor Strange, Spider Man, She Hulk, and Wong in the Sanctum Sanctorum, having to do having to collect these runes to get this the Book of the Vishanti, so Doctor Strange can get the World Tree. I think it was a World Tree, and they introduced a new puzzle game, which is great. One thing they hint at the movies. So I'm gonna get with this because he does. They're doing with this. They're doing a thing where you have to. It's a new puzzle game they haven't done where you have to trace out the shape, but you can't use the same path twice. That got hard for me on a couple things because I didn't know that, and they give you hints, but I'm like, I don't need no hint. I'm my own man. I can do this. And I'm like, wait, what am I supposed to be doing? And all that. And then you shoot on, so I'm like, I got like one left in there, but luckily since it's all I'm playing, I don't have to worry about like, oh, I lost my save game data. The other thing, you start out, you play. This is for the first little bit, you're focused around the Guardians of the Galaxy. They have the rights to come and get your love and Mr. Blue Sky. Like they're actually, it's the actual songs because a lot of the characters they have the B button, so this button here on your controller, move where it's like a laser blast. Star-Lord, he puts on his headphones and he's dancing to music, and anyone who comes around him starts dancing to the music as well. And I'm sitting there in a level, in the middle of a level. I'm like, you know what? Hold on. How far in the song do they go? It does damn near the whole song. Like there were times
Nice.
where I was, and it's fun because he's sitting there dancing around. You could shoot while he's dancing. I'm like, I want to recreate the opening to Marvel Guardians, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But yeah, really cool. I'm loving the game. You can find it at all your stores. It's on all the systems. It's on the Switch as well, man. So it's everywhere. That is Lego Marvel Superheroes #2. So, do you got anything else that you brought to us, or
No, I kind of inadvertently gave a Justice League review already. I'm fine.
okay? So, see previous Justice League review. On to my other thing, Stranger Things season 2. Now, this actually is sort of a combo because I'm going to do spoiler free. Basics of the review. I loved it. So cool. I actually highly recommend watching when you're done the Beyond Stranger Things after show that they do, but watch it once you're done with the whole show, not like, oh well, here, this must correlate with episode 1, because it doesn't. I love the new cast that they got in here. The girl who plays Max, it's just like the character of Max, such a badass. She's this new girl in town that they all sort of, they all meet and stuff. Her brother, such a dick. So and funnily enough, the actor plays the Red Power Ranger in the latest Power Rangers movie.
Oh, okay. Not the Red Power Ranger who killed somebody.
No, no, I don't think so, because probably would have got, yeah. I mean, overall, this whole Sean Astin's in this, man. And
Yeah.
I'm saying this as, for, like to help you into, you need to watch this, which I know it's on your list of watching. I think you're waiting for Aaron so you guys can watch it together.
Yeah, trying to find a time when we can both sit down. Also, our not that it matters because we can watch Netflix through the Comcast boxes, but our Roku in the living room is a Roku 2, and it is on its last legs. It keeps resetting, so it's become it's less enticing to sit in the living room and watch TV than it is in the bedroom because we have the Roku 3 in there. That's just one of those things that needs to get replaced. But it is, yeah, it's the time and dedicating yourself to watching something of that length together. And I just got through on my own the Punisher series, which I think, while certainly nowhere near my favorite character, maybe, in my opinion, the best of the Marvel Netflix series so far. It just felt consistent throughout the whole thing. I've seen some people complain about I think the third episode, where it spends a lot of time with Micro and his backstory, but I liked all of that, and I felt like there was never a moment where I just felt like it was too tacked on or too much just filler. And even going to Jessica Jones or the first season of Daredevil, which I think were both very strong, there were certainly episodes where I thought, okay, they probably could have skipped most of this. This felt overall, I think, complete, smartly done. It never jumped the rails for me. The villain slash villains were compelling and the right usage for it. I like the show overall.
The other thing with Stranger Things, honestly, the soundtrack. This soundtrack is so good. Like the Duffer Brothers had taken, and Sean Levy, the executive producer, had taken the time, and they had their end goal in here, and they had the idea for the songs and all this stuff, which leads me to another part. They have the Stranger Things soundtrack out that is so good. I mean, forget the fact that it is, well, first off, it's 30 songs or 30 tracks, but forget the fact that it's they're a lot of songs from the 70s and the 80s, like Toto's Africa and Devo's Whip It, and different songs like that. In between, like the soundtrack starts out with Will singing The Clash.
The Clash was the first season. Should I Stay or Should I Go was used a lot the first season.
He was singing Should I Stay or Should I Go, and all that. And then you get all these other little like interludes with dialogue from the first and second season just throughout. There's no context through them. One is Elle and Mike talking about mouth breathers from season 1 and all that. And I'm like, this is just great. It's, it's like really clever with how they do this. And, so it's what I've been listening to, honestly, in the place of podcasts going to and from work. It's just, listening to this and, getting my mind right. Like, all right, I'm good. Let's go. Listening to Whip It, just sitting there, just dancing along to it. And a lot of these songs are before my time. And I'm just like, I'm loving it.
Hurtful.
It's so good. But true.
No, I'm kidding.
But yeah.
We reviewed a movie from 1987 yesterday on Podcast of Terror, and Matt already makes me feel old, and then our special guest Erica just trounced that completely. And she's like, yeah, this came out like 5 years before I was born.
See, at least I'm not that bad. That would have only been 2 years before I was born.
Yeah, whereas I was 16 when it came out.
Yeah, like but no, so that's honestly, that's gonna wrap it up for ElseViews.
Do you like scary movies? Did you answer yes to that question? Have you ever thought, I'd really like to listen to two random strangers talk on the internet about some movies that I may or may not have watched at some point in my life? Sometimes they even bring guests on, which adds to a little bit of the banter. Sometimes we cover the news of the week. Sometimes we don't talk about the movie at all. Sometimes one of us gets a little bit drunk. It's just the way that we do things over at the Podcast of Terror, which is a production of Galactic Netcast, in case you weren't sure. If you're interested in this, please go ahead and head over to gncast.com/pot. Subscribe and enjoy the crap out of it.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's gncast.com.